What's up, brother? Doing some bench press today. Program calls for 355 for a set of 4. I'm doing things a little bit differently. I set up a slight incline or decline on my bench, 4-inch decline. Just want to change the angle a little bit of what I'm pressing, just to kind of change the stimulus of the shoulders, that kind of thing. You should be able to overload a little bit with a slight decline too. A little trick you can use if you're ever stuck at a certain number, put like a little 2 to 4-inch decline on your bench, and you'll be able to press a little bit more, but it translates really nicely to your 1 rep max if you push the rep range a little bit, kind of like using like a bench block maybe. Same reason I only do like a slight 4-inch incline. Nice. Can I get $500? I wouldn't turn it down, Hunter. We were just talking about that. We were looking at the price of competing at nationals this year. It's in Pittsburgh, so I probably need a couple grand for travel, room and board, and then it's $300 to register. So we were trying to decide, like, if depending on how work goes, maybe competing at nationals this year. I'll get my numbers this competition in March, my qualifying numbers. Actually, because I competed in September, I should still be qualified to compete. But I'm actually trying to break records, so a lot of times what older lifters will do is they'll do a token competition. They'll enter a local competition and they'll just get the bare minimum of what they need to qualify to compete. But I'm so close to breaking the national records, I'm going to go for it. Yeah, I'm in Vegas. I'm from Illinois. I'm from Chicago originally, but I've been living in Vegas since 04, 05, somewhere in there. I actually already have my qualifying numbers. I wouldn't even need to compete at Worlds this year because I competed in September. But that's not what I'm competing for. I want to break the national records for the United States Powerlifting Association and solidify myself as the #1 over 50 lifter. Oh, here we go. Spamorama. Spamorama. Didn't even make it 2 minutes. What's up, Josh? Happy birthday. Thanks for moderating, Ian. The body beatdown. What's up? Just trying to get my lift in before I have to pick the kids up for school. I figure if I don't do it now, I won't be able to do it later. play a game. Can you bench more than a 50-year-old man? So how old are you, Josh? Squats for you today. Not really feeling it. Tomorrow's squats for me. No. Well, yeah, tomorrow's Saturday. So, no, I only have to deadlift. But check this out. I have to hit 635 pounds for a set of 4. Ooh. It's the sets are it's 1, 2, 4. So I have to minimum hit it for 1. But ideally, if I can get it for at least 3, then that puts me on target to possibly break 700 in competition. I need 670 pounds to break the record. No. The national record's 705. Well, either way, I'm definitely going to get the national record for the total, the combined score of all 3 lifts. I'll have that easy. Well, that's like the important one. That's the cool record to have. But it would still be cool to have the individual records for each lift too. Thanks, William. Are there any rules when deadlifting like there are when benching or squats? Yeah. Obviously, you can't use straps. You can't use. I guess you can use knee sleeves. The bar has to move up in a consistent line, so you can hitch as long. What they look for is if the bar drops in any negative direction, then it's not a good lift. But if you move unevenly, as long as they're moving, as long as the motion is continuously moving upward, and they have side judges that look at it. So as long as it's moving, you can do it unevenly as long as you eat. It's hard. I don't know if that makes sense. They look for constant upward movement, and then you have to lock out. What's my nutrition look like? Recently it's been really, really simple. Like last night I had a bowl of rice with a half pound of hamburger meat. I just fried up some burger meat and threw it on some white rice. Oh, thanks, William. I'm almost to 7,000 subscribers. I'll be competing March 15th. I went to the doctors today to try to figure out what's up with my allergies and why I can't breathe through my nose. So they're going to be doing some tests. American Toy. Posser Fat. American Toy. Okay. I don't know what a posser is. You must not be from around these parts. Well, I don't care. He can call me whatever he wants. Like, does this look fat to you? Like, is that fat? Well, it is. I guess I'm a chubby, but it don't matter because I'm not a bodybuilder. I'm a powerlifter. Got my big fat shoulders. Everything okay at the hospital? You posted on your page. Oh yeah, so I was getting I went to the doc because I can't breathe through my nose and it's been getting worse. So they're gonna run some tests to see what it is I'm allergic to. Don, what's up, Semper Fi? Yeah, hell yeah. It's one of my newer hats. Every time I go to the VA hospital, I pick a new hat up, a new cover. Yeah, you guys you don't have to defend my honor. I mean, he's like, it's such a stupid insult. You're fat. Okay, like I don't care, but I appreciate it. My fish drowned this morning. That's a bummer. Uh, I did drown some of my fish. We had when we hooked up our goldfish tank, it was we didn't realize that the switch that the air pump was hooked up to was on the same line as the dimmer switch, and somebody had accidentally come in and hit the dimmer and it cut off the air pumps, and they actually did drown. They suffocated, which sucked because I had those goldfish for like 11 years. They were huge. That was actually a really sad moment. We had a funeral for them and everything. We buried them out back and planted some flowers on top of them. He had a little lower back injury from deadlift a week ago. What should I do to recover quick? Um, Stay off of it. Like don't like, but do some really light stretching. Go online and look up Jefferson curls, and it's an extreme range of motion deadlift movement that utilizes light weights to stretch your back out. But you definitely want to let it heal. Like there's no quick way to recover from a lower back injury. If you try to do that, you're gonna hurt you. You're gonna make it worse. Don't feel bad, William. Full range of motion, lengthened partial profit feeder crew. Hell yeah. I notice a lot of you guys come on during lunchtime. I'm wondering if you guys work or not. You said that I liked that my fish died? No, man. I had them. They were in the family for a long time. That was a bummer, man. I was actually really angry. I was mad. I wanted to take my anger out on somebody, but it was nobody's fault. It's just one of those things. Let's see with Dan. The only range of motion I have is back and forth with my hips, daddy. Nice. Never worked a day in my life. Mama's money. That's cool. Hey, if you got it like that, I ain't hating. What are you running? Do you have other pets? Well, I don't know if you consider chickens pets, but I have 22 chickens, 2 dogs, 4 cats, 3 turtles, roughly 5 goldfish, a placostomus that's almost 2 feet long, and my wife's got a tank that has betas in it. Where are my wrist straps? So we got. Oh yeah, my daughter's got some lizards too. She's got a bearded dragon, and she's got anoles, little green suckers. Ian, you don't have to block every message that's making fun of me, dude. I don't care. Like as long as they're not talking about kids or threatening violence, you don't have to block their messages. How old are my kids? 10 and 13. Yeah, I guess somebody's asking if I'm natural. No. Avoid thrifty. Be careful. Be careful of what? I'm hyping you up. X or non? You doing waves, bro? Not sure what that means. Y'all can only hope. What's up, Rob? Rob Noxious. What do you eat? I have a pretty simple diet. Like last night, I had a bowl of rice with half a pound of hamburger meat. That was literally my meal. We eat a lot of Japanese though. I eat like a lot of ramen, a lot of udon. Hung? I don't know. You'd have to ask my wife. I think I do okay. The bench. I'm not sure. What do you talk? Are you talking about tempo reps, where you slow, eccentric, and then fast off the chest? Put not natty in the pin comment. No, they don't read a pin comment anyways. I am Tyler. What's up, me? Heavier weights as you are lowering reps. Yeah. Where can I get steroids? Probably, I don't know. Go down to your local construction site and just see just ask one of the laborers. They probably could hook you up. He's a power lifter, not a bodybuilder. Do you watch sports? Well, I mean, I guess. What sports are we talking about? 10, 8, 6 reps for each set, increasing 5, 10 pounds. I make pretty big jumps. So what I do is I do warm-up sets to my working weight. And then from there, I try to do one set to failure. So I'm chipping away at my working weight for today is 355. And then I'll do that set to failure. And then from there, I'll go into accessories. And I only do one set. So, I mean, there's some days that do call for volume, but today's not one of them. Is it true that all steroid users are impotent? I don't know what you mean by impotent. I know that at the age of 50, I'm not trying to have kids. So it wouldn't matter anyways. What's your max ever on bench? 425 pounds raw. And I almost did 500 with a slingshot, but I wasn't able to lock it out. So 475. Age 50 years old. What are we asking here, Dimitri? I think he talks about erectile dysfunction. Yeah, I don't know. My shit works fine. But laughing because because my wife never lets me use it on her anyway, so it doesn't matter. No, I'm just joking around. uh, Believe it or not, you guys will get to an age where you won't necessarily be obsessed with the genitalia of everybody you talk to. But that does seem to be the prevailing topic of discussion on YouTube. Only married guys get that joke. I'm glad you got it. I mean, I would say 90% of the comments are, what's my sexual orientation? Does my junk still work? Then nobody cares about lifting. 25 years married. Yeah, you get it. All I know is when I wake up in the morning and I gotta go to the bathroom, I got a log in my pants. So it seems like it works fine. Well, Trent, you'll find out as you get older that it's only gay if your dick's touched. So you got to broaden your definitions. Actually, you know what? That does make sense. Because that's like, oh, yeah, that's the only thing gay people are obsessed with is sexuality. So you guys out yourself. But honestly, I wouldn't even care. I don't even know why that matters. I don't understand why it's even a point of discussion, to be honest with you. Marines are only gay when they're deployed. Gay for the stay, right? I'm not sleeping with the same woman 25 years. No way. Oh, she'll stop letting you do that about 10 years into it, so you don't have to wait that long. What do we got? 2 minutes. Give me a second, guys. I'm going to take a leak real quick. I'd say the curse of being in commercial construction is as you get older, I'd say most of your free time is doing home repairs, honeydew lists. You're on a roll. Yeah, yes, sir. Semper Fi, guilty as charged. I got this one I got at the VA hospital. They have a little PX there where you can buy cool swag. You don't have to be a Marine to purchase one, but if you're gonna rock the EGA, people are gonna have some expectations. I knew this one guy in construction, and he was like a mean asshole, and he had an EGA on his hard hat, and I just assumed he was a jarhead. Well, one day he got into it with me, and I told him straight up. I was like, he was foreman. He was not a superintendent, but a foreman. So that would be like a team manager, and under any circumstances. And I was the site safety manager on that one, and he started barking orders at me, and I was like, I don't work for you, motherfucker. And he starts getting in my shit, and I saw the EGA, and I go, where did you serve? And he kind of looked at me funny. He goes, what do you mean? I go, you have a fucking EGA on your hard hat. Where did you serve? And he's like, that's a friend of mine gave me that. And I'm like, oh, okay, I see how you are. And And he backed off real fast after that. He didn't have another mean thing to say to me. All right. Let's do this. I gotta be honest, I'm kind of just hurting. Like not like in an injury capacity, but just like everything's sore today kind of way. Maybe I should put my belt on. What did you meet a stolen valor guy at? Do tell. Yeah, that moved pretty well. Just kind of, I don't know. It's like the Tin Man needs oil. You know what I mean? Do you train weighted dips for accessories? Yes. I haven't done weighted dips in a while. I'm gonna start getting back to them. If I wasn't a power lifter, I probably wouldn't train bench press. I probably just would do weighted dips. What's up, Vlad? On a fishing trip, had to listen to him spill his bullshit. Oh, it's great when they get rolling and they're telling stories, and especially if they don't realize that you actually served. Those are the best. We made the AI cover on Mortal Kombat. Yeah, weighted dips are the shit, man. Especially because like if you go straight, that's pretty much all putting all the weight on the triceps and to your medial delts to some degree, and you can it'll hit your traps pretty hard. And then if you lean forward, it's an entire upper body movement. Something about moving your body weight through space. For some reason, it just because you have to stabilize everything. Like doing pull-ups instead of lat pull-downs, that kind of thing. How much the weight went up? What are we talking about, David? Ego lift, my spirit animal. What's up, brother? You guys gotta check Ego Lift out. He's got a fun channel. I love his content. Looked like 40 pounds. Oh, I just put, no, it's only 20. I just put on there 10 on each side, and then I'll probably work up to like 365. Did you vote Trump? I'm not even going to dignify that comment with an answer. Well, I guess I could have voted Libertarian. I don't know what point that would have been. The Libertarians haven't had a good candidate in a long time. They're just a constant disappointment. Chris, what's up? Chris Eddles. Yeah, yes. See, I just dignified that comment with an answer. Damn it. I'm doing all right. I'm having a rough day. I could start whining and crying about my emotional well-being. My needs aren't being met as a man. I don't think that's quite in our nature. From Scotland. What's up? Nice. I'm in Las Vegas, Nevada, the high desert of the, I want to say the Mojave, the tail end of the Mojave Desert. Very little rain, lots of wind. Usually the relative humidity is less than 2%. How often do you do the handsome press for your shoulder? Weekly. I actually do that weekly. I never, you know what's funny is I never put it on the internet because I didn't think anyone would be interested in it because it's such a light lift. But it's such an awesome shoulder exercise. It wasn't until they were, I saw a video where they were calling the person out who recommended it to me and they were talking shit to him. There was a saying he had such little shoulder development that it couldn't possibly be a good lift. And being is that it's a lift that I do almost exclusively for shoulders, I said, well, are these good enough for you? I mean, I don't know. You tell me. Like, so lifting's relative rather. You know, if you don't lift to be big and you don't eat to be big, you won't be. So you can't judge a lifter by his size necessarily. Hey, can you give a shout out to my son? No, sir, I can't. That's not it. God, come on, do better. That's a what are you, 8? Literally helped with my shoulder pain. Let's see who God Eater is. Let's see this moron. I expect more from my trolls, God Eater. Like, we are looking for a higher level of trolling. You have to have an IQ that's at least 90. What made you want to become a U.S. Marine? You want to know the truth? I was homeless, and they had the coolest uniforms. He was the best cran eater in school. Dude, I wanted to get off the streets, and I went into the recruiters, and yeah, I can't. I looked at that Navy uniform, and I'm like, And then the Army, I talked to that guy for a minute, and I'm just looking at their uniform, and I'm like, good Lord, look at this fool. He's got enough pins and buttons on him that a dime store salesman couldn't even appreciate. And they give him a ribbon for throwing a grenade properly. It's like, the fact that I lived tells me I threw a grenade properly. So, you know, it looked to me more like a Boy Scouts uniform. And then I saw those dress blues, baby. Way back there in the corner by the Air Force recruiter, just standing there with that big bulldog. I'm like, yep, that's me right there. How much can you rep out 315? The most I've done it for, I think a couple weeks ago, I hit it for 11. Hello from Russia. What's up? Looking like a Tonka truck. It's all lighting. It's all lies. It's tricks. It's just... am I okay? Yeah, I'm doing all right. I'm having a rough day, but it's all like whiny bullshit you guys don't want to hear about. Anytime I get like that, it's time to hit the weights. I want to become strong like you. Please give me some suggestions to begin with. That's what I tell everybody. Do something simple, like the starting strength 5x5. You can look that up on Google. Literally type in starting strength 5x5. And they'll give you 5 barbell lifts: squat, deadlift, bench press, overhead press, barbell rows. There's 5. And you could throw pull-ups and dips in there too. Do those 5 lifts for a solid 6 months, and you will have an excellent base of strength. And from there, you can do pretty much any sport you want to do. It's going to give you an all-around awesome physique. It's going to get you strong. You focus on lifting properly, it'll get you under the barbell. It's going to change your life. Don't mess around with all them stupid machines at the gym. Just get under the barbell. That's me. You know, some people don't like barbell lifting. That's cool. Never miss more than 3 days of training when you're starting out. Never go more than 3 days without training, ever. when you're starting out. Woodstock, what's up? Oh man, I just got off work, so I didn't have time to change. So instead of wearing tighter shorts, I wore tighter jeans for you. What do you think? These bad boys are stretchy. What's my max bench? Right around 405, 410. You're a beautiful woman, baby. Yeah, I think I could probably, if I threw on a wig, I could probably clean up pretty good. I think I'd make an ugly woman. If I saw a woman that had my shoulders, I'd be like, damn, girl. What's your name? Carlito. How to make progress in pull-ups and push-ups? Is that a trick question? Pull-ups are difficult for a lot of people. They can't do a single pull-up. I always recommend like taking a lifting strap and like say I do pull-ups right off of this rack here. I'll just start banging them out. Well, you could loop a strap around there and stand in it, which will take the weight off of you and it'll allow you to. It's like basically like a pull-up assisted machine. If you don't have straps, you can go on Amazon and just type in lifting straps. These are $35 for a set of 3 of them. Yeah, you might as well get leggings. I wish I could. I need pockets though. You want shoulders like Michelle Obama. She has hands like Michael Jordan. She could palm a basketball. Well, nice to meet you too, Chris. I appreciate that. Pull-ups are hard. But okay, once you get to the point where you can do one pull-up or push-up, do sets of 1. Like do 10 sets of 1 single push-up. And then after a while, you'll be able to do 2. And then you just keep going. 2 sets of 2, 3 sets of 2, 4 sets of 3. You know, you just keep adding that number up. And you just keep banging sets out. And then I would think within a couple of months, most people will be able to make the physical adaptation to be able to bang out 10 pull-ups. Or, well, 10 push-ups. 10 pull-ups might take you a little longer. Pull-ups are difficult. Also, when you're doing pull-ups, if you can do 1, hold yourself in the static position on the top as long as you can, like 30 seconds if you can do it. I'll give you well, I got the bar in the way, but I was gonna say like, if you can get like a box, something you can stand on, where you can get up in the pull-up position, and then just hang there. And then slowly lower yourself. Try to do for like 30 seconds. And then repeat. Stand back up and just repeat. Those are called negatives or eccentrics. And you can do those in sets too. And that'll cultivate the strength necessarily to do a single pull-up. Once you can do 1 pull-up, you're on your way, baby. Yeah, if you weigh a lot, I definitely would suggest doing the negative approach. Get on a box, stand up there, hold yourself. Any absent y'all, hit the like, and I'm also, what do you call it, trolling for subscribers. I'm trying to get to that 7,000 mark. I don't know why. You know, we like even numbers, you know, like 295 bench is cool, but it's not 315. Well, why does 3 to 15 matter? Well, it's 3 plates. Looks cooler, right? You know, 310, 320, 315, yeah. 225, awesome. 135, you know, it's like we like nice even plate increments. Seen someone saying you a Marine. A Marie? A Marie. I am a Marie. USS Marriage. Are you being serious? I was on the USS Comstock, LSD 25. It is a landing ship dock, is what that stands for. The Army. I'm going to give you a sec. Chris, I'm going to give you a second to gather your words here and ask me a proper question. I'll start doing them from today. I'll ask you if I have any difficulty. Yeah, you guys can also hit me up on Instagram too. So if you go to my page, right up on the title where it says about me, I have a link to Instagram right on there, and we can have one-on-one conversations if you want to get a little more in depth with your training. Maggie, what's up? Do you do any Zercher squats, B's? Yeah, all the time. I don't do them when I get close to competition. I narrow down my exercises to more specificity. But when I'm like after I'm done competing and I go back into a conditioning block, I usually do Zerchers. I do Zercher good mornings. I do Zercher squats. I do Zercher deadlifts. Zerchers are great. How do you do? I do okay. Stephen Cook. The training is kind of, I don't know, man. The numbers are great. My numbers are really good. I'm right where I need to be to potentially break some national records in March. But everything hurts. I'm feeling whiny. I'm like, I don't do this anymore. This sucks. I always get like this a couple of weeks for competition because that's where the program is the hardest. It's the highest amount of volume versus the amount of weight you're lifting. Yeah, my link to my Instagram. Go. Where's that little bubble right there that's got me in the corner? Click on that thing, and it'll take you to my page. And right there on the top, it's got a link to my Instagram. How much you lifting on bench? Today I think I'm only going up to like 355. If you mind me asking, what's your best Zercher squat compared to well, my back squat's enormous. I can almost hit 700 pounds, especially if I'm wearing wraps. My Zercher, I don't think I've gone much heavier than like 430 or 440. You gotta be able to hold that sucker, so it's a little more difficult. And off the floor, like barbell under, with the barbell on the ground, getting under it, the most I've done is 315. But that's hard because you got to really, really, really have a lot of flexibility to get under the barbell off the ground. That's way harder than it is doing it out of the rack. We call it ego lifting with form. Well, if you go to my page, I'm going to direct you to my page where it has a showcase of all my lifts. My opening video is the first time I broke 600 in competition, which was in 2022. And I've only gone up since then. My best competition squat on record is, I want to say 630. But I've been hitting 670, 680 in the gym, and my numbers support it. What was it, 2 days ago? I was doing sets with 535 pounds. So it's like, yeah, my numbers are pretty good on the squat. And that's raw. That's all raw lifting. If I put wraps on, you can add another 50 pounds to that. Please tell us about your experience in the Marines. Well, I mean, what do you want to know specifically? Hold on, give me a second. I'm going to refill the coffee real quick. Let's see. In 1994, in June, I joined the Marine Corps. I went to boot camp at Parris Island. I was Charlie Company, Platoon 1189. And then from there, I went to Fort Sill, Oklahoma, where I went to school. I was an 0844 artillery, field artillery fire direction controlman. Spent 6 months there, roughly. And then went to Camp Pendleton. And the first place we got deployed was to Seattle to put out the forest fires that were happening in 1995. As it turns out, the battalion I went to, 5th Battalion, 11th Marines, is considered a general support battalion, which means that the government can use that battalion to do other things other than artillery. For example, we did Nixon's funeral. So we were the artillery battery that did his 21 gun salute with the 105 millimeter howitzers. And we did drug interdiction with the DEA on the Mexican border. That was in 1996 when that was the Ballad of Ezekiel Hernandez, starring Tommy. Who's that actor that was in Men in Black? The Men in Black guy. He did the narration for that video. That's when Ezekiel Hernandez got killed by Corporal Benuelos for shooting at a platoon of Marines. That was us down there, and that was 5th Battalion, 11th Marines down there running, doing observation for the DEA. And then after that, I got deployed with the 11th Marine Expeditionary Unit, and we went to Iraq. We did Operation Eager Mace and Infinite Moonlight. We went into Iraq. That's when he was amassing troops on the border after the ceasefire. And that one did not make the news, but it did happen. We went to Jordan and we did cross training with the Jordanian military, because they bought a bunch of our surplus howitzers and some of our old attack Cobras that the Marines used to use. So they were doing training over there. That was pretty cool. I got to see Petra. I don't know if you guys saw Indiana Jones and the Last Crusade. Remember that part at the end where they went down that canyon and that big city carved into the canyon, and then they went inside and it was like they found the Holy Grail. Well, then none of that shit exists, but the outside was called Petra, which is an entire city carved into this, I want to say, 3 or 4 mile stretch of canyon. That was pretty bitchin'. Been all over the Middle East, Saudi Arabia, Dubai, Bahrain, Israel, Egypt, Africa, Somalia, been to Australia, been to Hong Kong, Singapore, Thailand, Guam. No. Did we stop at Guam? Anyway, I was all over the kind of the Philippines area. We spent some time in there. Got lots of cool stories. Did lots of cool shit, man. It was a lot of fun. Tommy Lee Jones, yeah. So if you look up the Ballad of Ezekiel Hernandez, narrated by Tommy Lee Jones, it shows the civilian take on what happened when poor old Ezekiel got killed. He was we were doing observation, OP listening, post type stuff, and it was a fire team. It wasn't my fire team. It was the PFC Blood, Corporal Hernandez, and 2 other guys. I can't remember. But anyway, and they interviewed PFC Blood, or was he Lance Corporal? I can't remember. Anyway, they interviewed him in the movie too. He was a good friend of mine. Everybody was in ghillie suits, and they were sneaking up on this kid who was a sheep herder, and he had a rifle, which was I think it was a 22 caliber. It wasn't even a big rifle, but he took a shot at one of the Marines because he thought, the thought was maybe he thought he was shooting at a wolf or something. So they all popped up out of the brush and identified themselves as United States Marines, and he aimed in and was going to take another shot, and Corporal Hernandez shot him and blew him back into a well. So not only did he put a whole center mass to this kid, he flew back into a well on top of that. And there was this huge outcry. The whole town wanted this guy to be brought up on charges, civilian. They wanted him to go to jail for murder. And then the 11th Marine, the commandant of the Marine Corps would not allow him to be tried as a civilian, and they absolved him of all wrongdoing because he did everything he was supposed to do. That was a heavy cartel drug area where they were watching drugs come over the border, and we were there to observe for the DEA. We weren't supposed to engage anybody, to my knowledge. But you can defend yourself if somebody's shooting at you. The rules of engagement. So it was this huge ordeal, and then it kind of came out as like, why the Marines on it kind of became, what is it? Which amendment is it that doesn't allow troops on U.S. soil? Is that 14 or no? The 14th Amendment's not. I got to go back to constitutional law here. But anyway, it was like a big deal, like about why are the Marines operating on soil, and it became this big controversy that happened in the mid '90s. Somebody asked me about my Marines, so I'm just telling anecdotes. That was a pretty notable one. What testo you use? Testo. I use a variety. I use a mix. It's kind of like Sustanon, and it's all doctor prescribed. Do you drink alcohol? I haven't had an alcoholic beverage since 2013. How many eggs in one meal? Usually 6. All right, let me hit this. I think I watched a film about that. I can't remember what it was called. It was called The Ballad of Ezekiel Hernandez. Narrated by Tommy Lee Jones. That was a huge one. I think the Seattle forest fires were really cool because, like, as a Marine, you think you're going to do Marine shit. But as a general support battalion, what they can do is the president can take the general support battalions and assign them to disaster relief, kind of like they do the National Guard, except for they deploy them instead of by the state. They can deploy us nationally. So in 1995 or 96, I can't remember exactly the year, right in there was these huge forest fires that were engulfing a lot of Seattle, and the firefighters were overwhelmed. So they called the entire 5th Battalion, 11th Marines, and sent us all up there. And we were living in a cow field with shelter halves, like fucking tents. And we were up there helping we were out there cutting the fire breaks, shovels and pickaxes. And I got the tank with the little wand of water to spray out the embers. So as they were cutting the woods back so that they would have a fire break so the fire would stop, my job was to go behind everybody and spray anything that was still smoking, and it sucked. Fucking humping that goddamn thing every morning. Holy shit. And we were wearing these yellow Tyvek suits, and it was fucking awful. But I will say this, the townsfolk every morning would put together this huge smorgasbord breakfast where it was like pancakes with real maple syrup and all the eggs and sausage and everything you could eat. So the food was the shit. It was great. So outside of the food, which was great, the hospitality, awesome, the townsfolk, and those firefighters, they made Marines look like pussies. When we were marching up those fire breaks, like these mountain men, these big, hairy, fat, giant, Paul Bunyan looking motherfuckers, they'd be running up these hills, and we're all like, young Marines, and we're all in shape, and we can't keep up with these bastards. So those were some real men right there, I'll tell you what. They even said, they're like, you're the best the military's got to offer, you bunch of pussies. We're like, okay. I thought we graduated boot camp already. Like, this sucks. I didn't sign up for this shit. It's good times though, man. That was it's one of those things where it's like you don't appreciate it when it's happening because it fucking sucks. It's wet, you're cold, and you're hot, and you're cold, and you're hot, and you're cold, and you're miserable, and you haven't showered in 3 days, and you're sleeping in a fucking shelter half next to another smelly bastard, and you're so exhausted you don't even give a crap. But after it's done and you look back, it's like, man, how cool is that to say I was part of that, Thanks, Maggie. I appreciate that. Iraq, yeah. I've been to Iraq. Yeah. Hell yeah, and then some. I deployed with the 11th Marine Expeditionary Unit, the Pride of the Pacific, on the USS Comstock. That's LSD-25 for anybody that's interested. If you type LSD-25 up, sorry, just cleaning the lens there a little, into Google search, it'll bring you up with a pretty cool looking boat. It's not it's not as cool as the new LPHs, which is like an aircraft carrier with a LSD built into it. So what distinguishes an LSD from a regular boat, and then I'll lift real quick, is it's shaped kind of like a fishing boat. It's huge. It's like 500 plus feet long, but it sinks. The boat will sink in the water, and the back hatch opens up, and inside is a well deck. And there's 3 LCACs, which are these giant hovercrafts, nuts to butt, parked down there. And you load all your equipment up on these hovercrafts, and they can take you over it's for over the horizon amphibious landings. Because you got the curvature of the earth, right? Well, radar can't see the boats past, I want to say something like 17 miles. I don't know where the curve of the earth or how far out you have to be before radar can't see you on the ocean, but that's what where Marines will launch from. And what distinguishes these hovercrafts from like the traditional landing boats, the old chug-a-luggers that used to carry the troops in, is that they can do 40 knots fully loaded. So you're hauling ass. These things just drive right up on shore, let the back and the front down, and you just all offload and go get them. They're pretty badass. And those are called LCACs, LCAC. They stand for Landing Craft Air Cushion. Pretty bitchin' hovercrafts. Would you ever have to go back? When I turned 46, I'm not even joking, they had just extended the age in which you could enlist to 46 years old. And I got a letter asking me to come back with a $70,000 bonus, and they were looking specifically for Marines that had artillery experience. And I'll be honest with you, at the time I was doing commercial construction, and we were making 6 figures. I mean, I was doing pretty well for myself. And I thought about it. I really did. I thought about, well, what would that look like, me going back at my age? I'm in pretty good shape. I was a powerlifter. I was, I could definitely pass the PFT easily. I could run circles around some of them younger kids, even at the age of 50. But then I thought about all the bullshit you got to put up with. Like, you think about all the good times, but you don't think about all the stupid shit, like failing field day and having to stay over the weekend to clean the barracks, or like if somebody loses, like we lost a pair of NVGs and they put the whole battalion on lockdown until they found him, and they did room-to-room searches, they tell you, hey, we're gonna move out at 0600 in the morning. So Gunny says, I want everyone out there at 0500. So then he passes it down to staff sergeant, and the staff sergeant doesn't want to be late. So he says, we're going to get out here at 0400. And then your squad leader says, well, we don't want to be late. So we're going to get out there at 0300. And so you get out there at 0300 and you're sitting there till 6 in the morning doing nothing. And those days, bullshit. It's like, or coming back from the field and having to clean your weapon, and you're some prick in the fucking armory who wants to play God. So he's running Q-tips down there, and he finds one little smudge, and you're out there with a toothbrush scrubbing this fucking thing for hours, and the fuckers, and I got to thinking about all that bullshit, and I'm like, I got a really good job. Maybe I'll just stay with what I'm doing. But it's cool to entertain the thought. Plus, I would have been the oldest fucking E5 on the planet. I mean, if I would have picked up staff sergeant, maybe that would be okay. Or if they were willing to give me E6, I would have considered it. But the problem with that is, once you get into staff NCOs, there's qualifications you have to have. They can't just give you the rank. Well, see, they can give you field commissions. I don't know. If I would have gotten E6 out of it, I might have considered it. David Higgins wouldn't be proud. Great value, John McPhee. I like that. That's a good one. What is it? Gavardo? Great value, John McPhee. I like that. Wet shark. No, that was a question. Let's see. They They wouldn't have wanted you as a higher up in the military with your experience. Well, see, that's the thing is they were looking for people specifically that had FDC experience because there's been a shortage. That's how bad our military has been up to this point. Is the way they've mitigated that is they've been doing stop losses, so they've been extending people's deployments and making them stay in longer. Usually they give them a bonus and a stripe as a compensation. But the government, if they tell you, hey, we need you to stay another 4 years, they could do that legally. So, and that's how they've avoided doing a draft. Stop loss. I don't know if you've ever heard the term stop loss, but people ask, like, why don't we have a draft? That's why, because they extend deployments of Marines and people that have specific skill sets, like fire direction controlmen. It's a very small MOS or ordnance disposal or ammo techs or communications guys that have like real or NBC, nuclear, biological, chemical. If you got one of those MOSs where it's a really tiny community, it can be really hard to fill those. It's not like I did anything that made me special. I had a high GT score of 125 and I could do trigonometry and calculus, so I could aim cannons doing math. How do you fire a bullet 22 miles and predict where it's going to land accurately? You need to be able to do trigonometry. And even though computers do all that, they sent us to school so we could do it manually. So if everything went out and we lost all electronics and everything, let's say an EMP went off, we could still fire those cannons accurately because you had to break out the charts and darts and do it by hand. So I had that skill set, and they were upgrading to the M777 howitzers and the HIMARS systems, and I guess the Marines were short people that had FDC experience. So, and I imagine that's across the board for any specialty MOS. I called myself a combat computer geek. Have laptop, will travel. No, I'm not natty. Hell no, Aaron. Do they still lock? Let's see. What was your trade and crew? I started out as a carpenter, but then I became a steel worker for 13 years. And now I work with the ironworkers and steel erection. But I'm management now. What has becoming a U.S. Marine taught you? X or none? I would say more than anything, just like the sport of powerlifting, it teaches you that you can far exceed the abilities you think you have. When you think you have nothing left to give, you can push harder and persevere. You can survive bullshit. If you think, no matter how bad you think it is, you just hold on and it's going to get better. That's what it taught me, is perseverance. It's going to get better. That's what I used to say all the time, man. We used to say, embrace the suck. You've heard that term, right? Embrace the suck, motherfuckers. This shit sucks. It's going to get better, bro. No matter how bad you think your life is, it's going to get better. But then that comes with a call to action. You have to physically do something to make it better. You got to get off your ass and take an action, whether it's getting under the weight and pressing it, whether it's getting off your ass and walking another mile, another 10 feet. Your feet are hurting. It doesn't matter. 2 more steps. Just keep going. Weld anything. I'm not the best welder in the world, but not all steel erection is welding. We have guys that specialize. There's iron workers that specialize in welding. They're certified welders. There's guys that are on the connection crew. Those are the guys that go up in the crane and hang off the steel with a little lanyard, and they bolt the steel up. You see them way high in the air, and you're like, holy shit, look at this crazy mother. Those guys don't weld. You got the guys on the ground that you see the bigger dudes. They usually drive the heavy equipment, the forklifts. They're moving the steel around. Well, you got a good yard guy. He's going to probably be your yard guy, and that guy doesn't know shit about connecting steel, but he's an iron worker nonetheless. So even though not all iron workers do welding, and then the ones that really excel at it tend to only do welding because of the skill set. So it kind of if you're ever going to get in the trades, I would say make sure you can learn as much as you can about everything that you can so that you don't get pigeonholed into one area. Have you ever been in war? Yes. But I'm artillery, so that's big guns shooting big bullets long distances. Uh, Ian, I'm natty though. We better be. Mike Torino, what's up? Hey, how you doing? Let's see. Yo, yeah, Bo Leonidas. Yeah, just like if your bone's broken, you just keep walking, don't stop. Well, think about it. Let's say you're out in the woods, Leonidas, and you do break your leg, and you don't have anybody to communicate to. What do? Do you just give up and die? Or do you fucking crawl your ass? Like, you do what you got to do. That's what the point is. We've had guys, every time we went to 29 Palms, somebody got left behind. It happens every training movement. The Marines die. That's how dangerous the heat is out there. Usually what they'll tell you is stay in place. Don't move, because they're going to realize they forgot you and they're going to come back and get you, and they're going to look in the exact spot they left you. But sometimes you have no choice but to walk your ass out of there, and you've got about maybe a day's worth of water in your body before you're just gonna fucking die. And that's what happens. Guys succumb to the heat. So you got to use strategy. Strategy is like finding something to get off the ground and finding something to cover yourself with shade, finding a plastic bag to put around the one bush so at night with a rock in it, it condenses just enough water that you can maybe keep yourself alive for one more day, things of that nature. So it's not necessarily just, oh, I gotta, dragging your ass out of somewhere, but it's also using strategy and keeping your wits about you so that you make decisions that are going to help you live a little bit longer, things of that nature. So yeah, it is exactly like if you break a leg, you got to keep going. What are you going to do? Just die? No, we don't die. I'm like a fucking cockroach. I should have been dead 100 times, and I'm still here, man. My trap routine is really simple, Kareem. I don't do anything specific for traps. If your diet is heavy deadlifts, a lot of your workout, 1/3 of my training is a variety of deadlifting. You're going to have a really well developed back, especially if you do a variety of deadlifts, such as stiff leg, Romanian, um, Jefferson curls, conventional, sumo, whatever. On top of that, whenever I do a pressing movement above my head, what I will do is I'll take that bar, and with a wide grip, I'll do an additional press up at the top right here, and that works the traps. So you can kind of kill two birds with one stone, as long as it just depends on how. And you can also do it with rows too. You can incorporate your traps with your rows, depending on what angle you're pulling at. So you don't really. It's not that doing like things like shrugs or isolating the traps is bad, but for us it's about efficiency of time, because we don't have all day to be in the gym doing 100 different exercises. So if you can kill two birds with one stone, like for example, it's like people ask me, what do I do to train forearms? Well, I don't do anything. I just do all of my pulling movements without the use of my thumbs. So as much as I can, I pull, including pull-ups, without my thumbs. So I'll demonstrate. We got no thumbs here. I just do pull-ups. That's gonna work your forearms. And then of course, when your grip starts to fail, if you need to keep rowing heavier, then of course use your thumbs and then straps if you need them. But doing as much as you can just using your fingers will help develop the forearms, the same way pressing with that little bit of emphasis at the end will hit your traps. So you can kind of combine exercises. Marines die in training. Yeah, dude, way more than it should happen. It's unbelievable how many fucking times a year you get reports out of 29 Palms that some road guard that was trying to keep people out of a free fire zone, they put him out there with a flag that says stop and a rifle, and they fucking forget him. It happens. Like, there's so many units that go through 29 Palms, and some of them are artillery like us, and some of them have their shit together, and we have really good unit cohesion. But then you get other units that have a bunch of fresh, guys out of boot camp, and they're all new, and this is their first training cycle, and maybe they got some boot lieutenant who's been on the job for 2 fucking weeks. And it happens. The reservists go through there. So like the water purification specialist, he's a reservist that have, They've never gotten their hands dirty and they're out in 29 palms, and it happens every fucking year. We lose people in the desert. And they do training briefs on it. They spend hours harping about what you should do if you get left in the fucking desert. That's how often it happens. And every year we still lose people in training. Hopefully they've gotten better. I don't know. Better than the Army. Thanks, Chris. I don't think the government even discloses amounts of deaths they have. Probably not. Especially when it's embarrassing, like training incidents. We do dangerous shit. When you play war, somebody could get hurt. It happens. That's unfortunate, and it's unexcusable. But what they really should be doing is, anytime an incident happens, like, this is my job in construction safety, is not only do I respond to incidents when they happen, and I provide first aid, and I make sure people, I would be considered emergency response. So I would be incident commander. If something happens, I make sure that the ambulance can get in and he goes to the hospital, and we go with him, and we do case management. But we also do accident investigation. So you get all the facts, witness statements, you find out what happened, so that you can figure out a way to prevent it from happening again in the future. It could be something as simple as one of our guys had 2 pieces of tube steel in slings, and they were lifting it down with a crane, and he put his hand in between them, and they bounced together and smashed his thumb like a grape. Steel weighs 5,000 pounds each. It just went, dink, thumb gone instantly. Holy shit, you've been doing this job for 10 fucking years. How does that happen? Well, we do an investigation and found out, he was just slipping. He wasn't paying attention that day. So, how do we prevent that from happening again? What do we need to do to make sure that some other dumbass doesn't do the same thing? And that's as much of the job as responding to the incident, to make sure the guy gets cared for. SPJ, can you answer the question? How do you increase your bench press if you're stuck at certain weight? Well, that's a good question. So here's a little trick. A couple things I like to do without knowing your program or a thing about you. The first thing you can do is introduce tempo to your lifting, which is slowing the negative down. 1, 2, 3, and then firing off your chest. Instead of pressing, you slow the eccentric down. The second thing I would suggest is you can add a second or even third bench day for a short period of time, 3 to 4 weeks. The third thing is you want to mix your rep ranges up. So a lot of guys, they'll say get 310 pounds on the bar. They want to get 315. So every week they're grinding 310, and they just can't put that 5 pounds at the end of it. No matter what they do, they just can't get stronger. Why is that? Well, your body's already adapted to lift 310 pounds. You can't add enough weight to force an adaptation. So the other strategy is to drop the weight and work on rep range PRs. So instead of doing a max best, try a max best 3 or a max best 5 and push those numbers, because as those numbers go up, your 1 rep max will go up with it. So 3 things: tempo, frequency, mixing up your rep range, which is called undulating periodization. And the Wendler 531 incidentally has all of those built into it, so it's a good program to run if you want to try something new. The other thing I'd like to do is, like what I'm doing on this, I don't know if you've noticed, but I have a little tiny 4-inch block which sets up just a tiny bit of decline in this one. So that pushes me in a little bit more of an advantageous position, which means I can overload slightly. That'll carry over to my regular bench. I do the same thing with the incline. I'll put 4-inch blocks on the other side of the bench and I'll incline it slightly, which then works this range of motion, and that translates over to the bench. So changing the angle that you bench at slightly, just a couple of inches, you want to keep it relevant to your bench so it carries over nicely. You could do things like that too. Somebody's trying to call me here. All right. right. I need to warm up again. Yeah. So you see, I did that. 1, 2, 3, boom. Oh, Candle, what's up, brother? You can only lift what you can lift. Nonsense. You can get stronger. The body's made to adapt. Sometimes you got to get tricky, though. You can max them out. You can max out. Everybody hits plateaus, and that's where it becomes tricky to force an adaptation in your body. So then that's when you have to start like mixing it up a little bit. Yes, I thought I had my. Let me turn my buzzer off. Here we go. I just muted it. Yeah, baby. I thought it was a fart first. Yeah. Were you in a hospital? And hello, sir. Why was I in the hospital? I'm having sinus issues. I can't breathe through my nose. It's, they're gonna look at. I've had my nose broke a couple times, but they're gonna give me an allergy test and see if we can't clear that up. Because even I've been using breathing strips, and it's no longer helping. Even with the breathing strips, I'm still having issues. Thank you, Ryan. Rinoy. What's up, Candle Zoid? How you doing, brother? Haven't seen you in a while. Always like to have. I got a like a little group of fans, I like to call them, that hate watch my channel, and I think they think that they bother me, but it's actually kind of the opposite. I really enjoy their comments. But unfortunately, Candles are like my one of my moderators deleted his comment, and he has yet to come up with anything clever, and it's kind of disappointing. I just think of this kid like hate watching somebody that he'll never be like because he doesn't know how to train, and he thinks that like steroids do all the work. Like I'm never, like I woke up like this one day. I just took some pills, and like the next morning I woke up and I'm like, wow. So like people that aren't able to achieve things on their own, they get kind of hateful and resentful of people that are enjoying their life and having a good time. So even though everybody's told me to block him, I'm like, no, I'm going to let him keep coming back. But my hopes were that he would come up with something clever or witty, like, so that we could have a good laugh together. But the kid just doesn't have it in him. I'm starting to think he's a little sad, to be honest with you. Can you do one bench for me, please? Well, that's what I'm doing, Freddie. Where have you been? Candle timed out for spamming. Yeah, see, that's the thing. Ego, it's like he spams. Like, come on, you've had like 3 or 4 days to come up with a joke. I would have got on Reddit, right? And I would have typed in shitty things to say to powerlifters, and like come up, looked at all the jokes, and then I would have found one that was like, ooh, that's gonna be a zinger, and then I'll drop that on there and see if I could come up with something truly offensive and clever to say. But they don't. They're like, you're in roids. Gotcha. Okay. I know. I know I'm on roids. I take them. I'm aware of this. And I guess the other thing is they think that I think I'm doing something wrong. Is that maybe the impression? Maybe he's immoral or morally against modern medicine. I don't know. Like, maybe there's a discussion to be had there. Like, maybe he thinks it's a bad thing, and I don't, obviously. Younger the soul, tighter the hole. Hell yeah, dude! That's going on my headstone. I can't pronounce your name, but I like your style, kiddo. If you're not nice, what's the point in it? Well, the thing is, Chris. So as we know, YouTube comments can be a vomitorium, and it's just usually angry people scrolling on their toilet, and they're like, "Oh, if they thought mean of the person." That that'll never change. So I see a lot of lifters. I think they take it personal. They get online and they argue with people that troll with them, or maybe try to convince them to see their point of view, or whatever the case is. They get really serious and it really bothers them and it affects them. Where me, I'm like, I like joking around and talking shit. So bring it. Like, let's see what you got. But I don't have time to waste on stupid comments. Like, we want funny ones. We want comments that everybody could laugh together, right? You want to say something messed up, say tell me my face looks like somebody put out a forest fire with a screwdriver, or like, you know. Yeah, good banter. Exactly, Chris. Thank you, Elizabeth. I appreciate that. Martin, 44. Hell yeah, that's what it's about. I love to hear guys over the age of 40 still getting after it. Thought on Trump's Ukraine narrative. This is why I say I don't support people. I support policy. I don't. Listening to both sides, I think Trump's making. I'm having a hard time agreeing with him. I'll be honest with you. And this is as a veteran, a big Trump supporter, huge Trump supporter. But like I said, I don't buy into, like, I don't think we should place all of our faith in any man. But when people are doing good, uh, let me see here. Let's see, 10 minutes. When people are doing good things, I support good things. When they're doing bad things, I'll call them out. And on the Ukraine thing, I just, I just feel like Reagan's probably turning in his grave, thinking that we're selling out to communists. It's like, what are we doing? Um, but I don't know. I wanted. I don't know. I think it's a complicated issue, and I think one thing we definitely can all agree on is we want the war to end, for sure. What the most alarming thing that I've found with this whole thing is the staggering amount of casualties that are happening on both sides. Like, we're talking World War II numbers of casualties, these human waves that Russia's throwing at little to no training conscripts, and they're just getting mowed down by the hundreds, and they're it's the saddest thing ever, and this is coming from somebody who served in the military. It mortifies me when I see the after action reports on some of the I don't know. I don't want to turn this into a discussion on Ukraine, but um, I think Trump. I feel like I can't really side with Trump on this one. On this specific issue, uh, yeah, Russian oligarchs are yesterday's communists. I never really believed in them either, though. I don't think that any of them were really true for the cause. I think they were just true for gaining their own power and money at the expense of the population that was providing that for them, like any good oligarch would be. Do you like the Aryan Brotherhood? I don't know anything about them. What's an Aryan? Let's start with that. I mean, it sounds pretty racist to me. Bin ban what guy? Why did you block? Why did you delete that comment? I think Trump is using muscle, and there's no need for America to be involved right now. Well, yeah, but we are involved. That's the problem. Like that's the thing is we are involved. We're fighting a proxy war, and we have been. Like honestly, you could even make the argument that if the United States would have just gotten directly involved, it probably would have saved a lot of lives on both sides. I missed how much you bench. At 54, my best has been 225 times 18. That's pretty good numbers, dude. Moomin, 225 for 18. You're starting to get close to NFL combine numbers there. There's none wrong with that. That's a really good bench. Recent decisions make me not like the guy. He's still talking about how great Operation Warp Speed was. Yeah, I do. I am a big Trump supporter. For the most part, I like everything that he's doing. I think that most of the alphabet institutions in the government are unconstitutional to begin with. I would like to see the Department of Education gone, the ATF gone, all of the all of them gone. Just get rid of all of them. Fuck them. There's nowhere in the Constitution that says that they should exist. That's the anarchist, the angry subredditor side of me. But the realistic side of me says you can't have a society of 300 plus million people with the diversity that we have without a little bit of governance. And somebody has to protect the states from running roughshod, otherwise we'd all be California. There is a place for federal government, but I like everything he's doing so far. I don't know about Putin. You know, I don't know if he's a real believer. I think Putin wants legacy. He wants to be remembered as somebody who united the old Soviet Union and got his, what they believe to be their birthright back. But then at the same time, sometimes I think he's just a crazy old bastard that has no idea what's actually going on. Like he doesn't have good information. It sometimes makes me wonder. Isn't America trying to pull lots of fights, albeit with warnings of reprisals? Yeah. Do we need to fight a proxy war? But that's the thing is we are. It was started by the Biden administration, and you could even argue that his dealings directly with Ukraine are the reason why that whole thing went down the way it did. If anything, him and his son should be in jail for the rest of their lives. But you can't. I don't I don't want to see another Afghanistan happen either. Thank you, fucking Biden pulls out of the Afghanistan and just fucks all the guys that we were allied with and just leaves them all to be killed. You don't want to see that happen either. Especially when we have the power to do something about it. I would say that what a lot of people don't understand is that globalism exists because of our involvement overseas. We police shipping lanes. We keep relative peace. Whether it's through show of force or the dispersal of money as it has been, the giant, Ponzi scheme that the U.S. dollar is. Is the reason why you can go on Amazon and order some fucking piece of shit from China and have it at your doorstep 2 days later. And, most people aren't willing to sacrifice their comfortable way of life for, if they want to see real change. That's what happens when the United States pulls out of the rest of the world, is that all goes bye-bye. Yeah, I don't know. I'm taking the same stance you are doing. The U.S. made the same mistake USSR did once they entered Afghanistan. They couldn't leave. Yeah, and I'm glad we did leave. Don't get me wrong. I just wish we wouldn't have done it like that, where we abandoned our allies, the people that we fought next to and trained. And we just said, fuck you guys, see you later. And knowing exactly what was going to happen to them. To me, that's just criminal what they did to those people. Trump wants his people to make more and pay less. I agree with that. I think it's overpaying. Yeah, I'd like to see us. I'd like to see us out of the WHO. Europe is like fuck Europe. I love Europe. Don't get me wrong. My European buddies, I love you guys, but you're governmentally fuck that shit. Um, I'm gonna ask the basketball star to make a point instead of spamming. Let's see what he comes up with. China makes some amazing things. Most countries need each other for some at some point, right? Well, no, that's not the. It's not the point of whether or not they make good. Well, actually, most of their shit's garbage. But the point is that the reason why you can order something on Amazon and have it at your house a week later is because we police shipping lanes and we allow freedom of navigation. If we pull out of that, if we take our Navy out from patrolling the oceans and the shipping lanes, all that shit goes bye-bye. It's not about whether or not China makes garbage. But you have to admit most of the stupid stuff that we spend money on is cheap Chinese garbage. Like, I'm just as guilty as anybody. Syria's being controlled by the same Taliban from Afghanistan. Syria, Libya, name a government that's toppled that turned out better. I think it's like treating cartels as terrorists. Yes, that I do actually like to see, but it's going to be interesting to see how that plays out because the cartels are a lot stronger than people think they are, and they have ex-special forces operatives that are basically training their militaries, whatever you want to call it. You see Vivek's tweet 2 months ago critiquing the U.S. for not trying to emulate China and India's cultures of compulsive education glorification. Yeah, I disagree with him on that one too. I honestly think that we just need to return it to the states and let them handle it. We do not need government in control of education. There's no fucking way that somebody that sits high up on a mountaintop is going to know exactly what the needs of some podunk that lives in Henderson, Nevada requires for education. It's just not fucking possible. There's no one size that fits all. And honestly, they should just leave it to the states the way it was supposed to be. And we have good states and we have bad states. And the states that have bad, you pressure to do something to fix it. And the states that are good, you try to emulate their programs. And that's all done by the voters, as it's supposed to be. We're supposed to be a representative of the people. And if the people want a certain style of education, they should be able to vote for that. Period. Hands down. End of sentence. Stop. Government, no business. Just like it's none of your business who I marry or what I marry. I don't need you involved in my personal life. I don't need you involved in raising my children. You could frankly go fuck yourself. I need you to raise an army and defend the country. He fired a bunch of forest fires. That I don't know about. I'd have to look into that, Stephen. And to be honest with you, I haven't been really keeping up on everything, and I haven't heard every speech he's made either. So he might have said something that I haven't heard. I try not to spend my entire free time watching news or listening to what he has to say or anything. It's like, at the end of the day, I've got my own life to live too. And yeah, I just pray that it all sorts itself out. The problem is the rural states have no growth potential in the form of service or manufacturing, and that's why everyone leaves. But that's our biggest freedom, is our freedom to go wherever the fuck we want. And if where you're living ain't cutting it, you have every right to pull up and move to wherever you want to. Not every small town should be on life support. You know what I mean? Fired national park rangers. I don't know anything about that. I'd have to look into it. I don't have a dumbbell. So we got Flock. Hello from Germany. Brian Kumar. I don't have a dumbbell. Someone planted a thought. Yeah, I'm not sure where we're going here. It is really sad and seriously comprised the safety of thousands of Americans. What are we talking about, Stephen? Because here's the thing. I also don't believe what I hear on legacy media at all. I don't like if you listen to like CNN, MSNBC, all of them, they're all fear mongering. Most of them are lying and taking things he said out of context. I like to actually go to the source and watch. Like if he said something, I want to see the full speech. I want to see the full interview. I don't want 2-second clips off of Hannity. I want to see the whole interview between Hannity, him, and Elon Musk. And I can make my own mind up because if you're getting your shit off of like any of the legacy media, you can best be certain that they're spinning it in a way that makes him look like he's trying to tear the country apart. And almost all of it has turned out to be fucking rhetoric and lies. So that's why the first thing I would need to do is I need the source of any of that stuff. Not saying you're wrong. I'm just saying I don't know, if that makes sense. Can copy and paste, you fucking dumbass. Yeah. Oh, is basketball gone? I was ignoring him. I figured you guys would take care of him. Oh, you're gone for making fun of Maggie. See ya, bitch. I just banned him. The basketballer's banned. Don't talk shit to my friends. With glee, gone. Musk cutting down a tree with a hair saw. Yeah, so I'm not. Don't get me wrong, Stephen. I'm not saying you're wrong. I'm saying I don't know, and I would want to see I would want to know. You know, I don't. I find out people have thrown around a lot of sound bites that they're getting off of like CNN and shit, and it's like that's totally inaccurate. And you know what I'm talking about too. They're talking mad shit. Well, Russian army is not that strong. Oh, the Russian army is terrible. Their tactics, man, I'm telling you right now, they wouldn't last 20 minutes against us. Not saying that should happen. It was actually really disappointing to see how behind and backwards the Russian military actually is. You know, the fact that they contracted out their special operations to like corrupt oligarchs. Go figure. Why do you think that most military personnel are Republicans? Well, and I'm not a Republican. I am not. I've never said I was a Republican. I'm not registered as a Republican. I've always been an independent with some conservative viewpoints and some liberal. Like I do think that it's important for us to have social nets for people that can't take care of themselves. Absolutely, 100%. But most military people tend to lean conservative because we're vehemently anti-collectivist. We are free market capitalists who believe in a free society. Everything that the progressive left is against. The progressive left wants equity, and we want equality. There's a difference. You and I can go try out to be Marine, MARSOC. But I might make it and you might not. Should we lower the standards so everyone makes it? Or should we make it a meritocracy so that we have the best warfighters possible? The progressive left wants everything to be equal, so everybody gets a chance at the table. And unfortunately, that all that does is cause system-wide failure across the board. People are not built that way. You can look at the Pareto distribution in any hierarchy. It could be plumbers. 10% of the plumbers are going to do 80% of the work, and they're going to be at the top, and they're going to make all of the money, while the shitty, lazy plumbers at the bottom are not going to get any of the contracts. And unfortunately, some of them are going to go hungry. So do we take from the plumbers that really kick ass and take names and make sure that the plumbers at the bottom are taken care of? Well, I think every hierarchy needs both. Um, I think conservatives make sure that the hierarchies are efficient, but to keep from dispossessing those at the bottom, that's where the left comes in. And if you have the left and the right working together, we tend to balance out pretty nicely, and that's how our country's existed for as long as it has. What's basically happened in the last, we'll say, 10 years is that the left has taken over and they've gone fucking crazy. They've had all the levers of power. They've controlled all the media. They ruined video games. They destroyed comic books. All movies suck. Everything is gay and trans and just stupid. And I'm sick of girl boss. I don't need no man beating the shit out of, like, it's just, I'm done with it. It's awful. It's terrible. But what happens when the right goes too far? Then you get your Tipper Gore in the 80s, which are censoring rock and roll, calling it the devil, and everything is now like Puritan and religious, and it's like, whoa, 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 whoa. We don't want to go too far that way either. Somewhere in the middle is where most of us are happy. So it should be a tug of war. Everybody needs each other. There's a place at the table for everyone. You just don't get, your voice doesn't get to be the loudest. And I thoroughly believe in, to some degree, survival of the fittest, with a responsibility to take care of those that can't take care of themselves. So meritocracy. The person that does the hardest work to achieve the most should be recognized for that. I don't believe in participation trophies, and I've gotten plenty of them. I don't know how many of those stupid medals I've gotten because I was the only fucking over 40 lifter at a competition and I won first place by default. Those medals mean nothing to me. You know which medal means the most to me? The third place that I got in the open division when I competed at the South Bay Beatdown in Venice Beach, where I placed, in the age of 48 years old, placed third place in the open division, which is the young man's division. That medal meant more to me than any of the Masters medals I've won. Because that means I still was able to compete with the younger guys, if for just one day. Why would that matter? Consult your local medical professional or Helix HRT. Yes. Dude, they're awesome. Helix is great. It's a great service. They're a little pricey, but they'll get you. I'm assuming you're talking about the use of PEDs. Yeah, NEFs and video games suck. Dragon Age? Are you kidding me? Oh, I was so mad. Lord have mercy. Don't get me started. I'm playing, you know which game I'm playing right now? Nier Automata. What did that come out 10 years ago? Just so I can see my little waifu run around and I can watch her little butt jiggle. And they tell me that's misogyny. You're objectifying women. Yeah. I want to see my little waifu like with ninja swords and shit. Like that's what I'm paying for here. Like leave my entertainment alone, you assholes. All right. If you're saying roid rage, you have never seen me angry. I don't believe I've ever lost my composure on the internet. God help me, no. I don't think I've even really been angry on the internet. No, dude, I can get mad. I love how they'll say like if you're mildly passionate about something you're talking about, it's all of a sudden roid rage. I clean my lens here. All right. It seems like I got a little bit of lens glare on there. I wasn't liking it. What time is it? 2:30. All right. All right. All right, so that was like an RPE 7. So this is where I'm going to then my next training on bench is going to be with the camber bar, which is that bent one. So I'll be doing the bottom range of motion. Let's see what we're saying. If steroids don't make me into picogram John Jones, I'm not doing them. They'll make you, we'll say on the high end, 15% better than you are right now. So imagine yourself 15% better than you are right this minute. It's not that, yeah, you still got to do a little work. Watch the short of you almost dying on the bench earlier. You saw that? Yeah, I decided to post that as like a teaching tool. That was a bad day, Maggie. That changed me as a person. You ever have an incident happen to you where you're not the same person you were after as you were before? That was that bench day. It's like situational, just like everything else. Shit laughing is good till you do it at a funeral. So I guess I'd want to know, like, what kind of healthy habits you have, Era. Like, how's your diet? Do you take any medications? Do you have any prescriptions from the doctor? Do you have any health conditions? Do you know your blood pressure? Like, how's your cholesterol? It's like you guys come online and you just assume like, oh, that guy's not healthy. And most of you guys are just sitting on a toilet eating Cheeto dust all over your protruding stomachs. You haven't seen your dick in 2 years, and you're like talking about the health of other people. It's like, okay. Yeah, how's my blood pressure? I don't know. I haven't had to check that in like 5 years. You think about society gaslighting men into showing emotion, but shaming them and condemning them when they do. Yeah, dude, let's get back to stoicism where we just suck it the fuck up. Let's bring that back. No, I don't know. I think I just want to encourage people to be themselves. You know what I mean? Dosley YT, what's up? I think people who say society treat men like they shouldn't have feelings aren't people who go outside, and that's not real. Yeah, how do you interact in your daily life when you get offline? Some people are terminally online, but after I get off YouTube, I'm gonna go pick my daughter up, and I'll interact with, I'm probably gonna stop by the office and talk to some coworkers, and like none of this shit is real. Daily interactions, we just don't act that way. People just want instant gratification and putting in hard work. They have to project every success to drugs or a stress-free lifestyle. Yeah, and that's why I sort of got away from the conversation where, I tell people I was a natural until I was almost 46 years old, and I was a competitive body or power lifter. And I had the American records when I was 100% natural, and like it gets exhausting trying to defend myself. So it's easier to just to say, yeah, you're right. I just take a bunch of drugs. I don't know. I'll probably die tomorrow. Like, whatever. Because you got to figure, like, most of the people that are commenting don't care. They don't have my best interest in mind. They don't give a shit. They're just passing through. And if anyone is legitimately interested, and I see that they've come back to a couple streams and they start asking me questions, I will absolutely be open and honest about everything with them. Because now you invested your time to me, and I will reciprocate. But I'm not gonna sow my pearls before swine, if that makes sense. My right shoulder hurts after I bench. Anything I can do? We got to find out why it's hurting, Michael. Like, it could be your bicep connection point that it runs up to your labrum. Is it actually your shoulder? Is it, like, what part of the arm is hurting? And then from there you need to look at rehabbing that, because if you just continue to bench hurt, you're going to eventually blow your shoulder out. Been there, done that. Don't do that. Find out why you're hurting, and then from there we can prescribe some sort of a physical therapy routine for you. I've been a long subscriber and have been to like 20 of your lives. I know you. I've seen you. I'm not talking about you, brother. No, if you thought I was, I apologize for that. I was not talking. I'm just talking about, like, the random people that just hop on and say steroids. You know what I mean? Like, they're just stupid. Because I say the same thing every time, and I just it's old. And most of them don't care. They're not. What are they going to do with that information? Nothing. Most of the success from steroids comes from structure and symmetry. If you aren't built to look good, then steroids won't give you that look. Yeah, genetics, big time. But I would say more for powerlifting, one of the lessons we've learned together, Prophet, you and I, is that you have to also make sure that your tendons and ligaments grow in proportion to your muscle strength to avoid serious injuries. Somebody told me I looked natural, and I actually was offended. I'm like, what do you mean? Fuck you, dude. Yo, you haven't offended me, Chris. You guys are fine. I'm not talking about you guys. But here's the thing, Joao. I don't know why I mispronounced that. Genetics. Look, there's only one Ronnie Coleman. If you saw him as a natural, you knew that guy was going to win Olympia. There's only one Jay Cutler. There's only one Arnold Schwarzenegger. Most of us aren't 6'2" and built like, with his muscle inserts. He was born to be Arnold Schwarzenegger. Most of us look like us. No, but don't let genetics keep you from trying to achieve something, because genetics all day does not win to hard work and perseverance by itself. It's hard to. The argument is like a guy that like John Heck, like arguably the greatest powerlifter of all time. Him and Ed Cohn, the guys. If you look at the proportions and the lifts they're good at, and the amount of lifts they pick up, you can say, well, that guy's built for pulling deadlifts. Look at his arms, for Christ's sake, and the way he squats, and it's like he's just a machine. He was designed to do that. Yeah, but he only weighs 220 pounds, so he had to still work his ass off to achieve that level of success. And so the genetics is just a small portion of that. Those guys still put the time in, and their level of dedication is just unreal. I mean, I couldn't even match their level of dedication, and most people think that my workout routine is psychotic in comparison to most people's, and I would agree with them. So it's like, yeah, genetics, fine, but don't let that hold you back from trying to find out what you're still capable of. There's only one Michael Jordan, but that doesn't mean that he's the only good basketball player. You could give 5'6" Ed Cohn any drug you want, and he would never look like 6'2" David Laid. Yeah, but the converse to that argument is David's never going to be as good a power lifter. You know what I mean? It's like, yeah, Ed was kind of built like a cave troll. uh, uh, John Jones, stupid strong, but has no legs. Dude, I mean, John is like, that's another example. It's just a guy that has a natural aptitude and just an ability to mimic. Like he was telling me that some of the moves he tried out, he saw in anime, for Christ's sake. He's like, there's only one John Jones. There's not only a physical ability and a fierce determination, but he's got an ability to keep his mind in a conflict situation and create on the fly while under pressure. That's what holds a lot of us back. When I do sparring, I have to remember to loosen up. And I'm scared at first. I'm like, oh shit, here we go. And then I can't even think about what I want to do until I've been hit a few times. And then I start loosening up, and then I can start getting creative. The guys that are at the real top end of the game, like they could just they have the ability to just be grace under fire. And that's what it separates, like, top tier operators in the military from like your average, intel guy. It's like there's just it's just they're just built differently. They're both Marines. Do you believe in dumbbell pullovers? There's nothing wrong with the exercise, but I think there's better uses of your time. I think outside of powerlifting, the skinny, dainty David Lades gets more positive reception and admiration than Ed Cohen's. Yeah, yeah. A lot of people, unfortunately, and especially in the newer generation, when they say Ed Cohen, there's a lot of people who are like, who the hell's that? Ed's the man. Ed is just the coolest dude ever. I've met him a couple times. I trained with his training partner at that gym we went. The Iron Addicts. Dan Martin. Dan Martin was his training partner. Dan is a international USP referee, and he still powerlifts at the age of 86, 85 maybe. He trains once a year. He looks like Popeye. He's about 165, 170 pounds. And for a couple of months, he gets ready to compete. And his little old 85-year-old ass can still deadlift over 405 pounds. He can still squat. I think he still squats 4 plates. I don't know what his bench is. But there's guys that are just different, Like Ed Cohen, he did a charity meet, or he did a guest lift. And what is Ed? He's probably he's in his 60s. He did over 600 pounds. I was like, damn, dude. I mean, that's... Semper Fi, John. Hell yeah, man. Similar garage. It's a mess, right? That's 244. I got to do this lift, and then I got to go get my daughter. And for accessories, later on, I'm going to have to probably do I'm supposed to do the camber barbell. All right. We'll continue this later. DP is dumbbell press. All right. Talking for too long. Why does it bother you? Most people enjoy the conversation. Seems split. Some people don't. I guess the question is, you should, instead of asking me if I'm tired of taking too long, you should state whether or not it bothers you that it takes too long. Speak for yourself. OG Devin. It's nice to come on the channel and hear unfiltered views from my brothers and sisters. Hell yeah. I can't wait for competition, dude. So far, things are moving pretty well. I'm right. My numbers are right on track. It's still going to be close, though. I was looking at my top end singles before the week of competition, and for me to get all of the national records, I'm going to have the best lifting day of my life. But no one single lift is outside of my ability to get it. But, you know, I'm still going to have a really good day. I will definitely get the total. So there's 4 records: bench, squat, deadlift, and then combined total. I will absolutely get the combined total, which is the cool one. Zelensky caved on offering rare minerals. I'm gonna have to look that up after. Thanks, Michael. I appreciate that. Help me get above 7,000 subs, guys. I'm really close. Chris, I'll be training. Oh, tomorrow's Saturday. That means I'm doing deadlifts. I have to do 635 for a set of 4. And if I can get 4 reps, that'll put me right on target for what I'm trying to hit in competition. But I'm at the man up, man. So playtime's over. Does your body weight matter in this competition? Yes, the national records I'm going to are for the 100 kilogram weight class. But I mean, if I could, because it's a local meet, even though it's the Nevada Open State Championship, so they'll have international judges there, so you can set international records. It is still a local meet. So if I did come up over or underweight, I could drop a weight class or go up one. Whereas in nationals and worlds, you cannot. You have to stay at the weight class that you put down on paper. Yeah, so the way it works, so open is age. So juniors goes from, I want to say 16 to 22. So from age 23 to 40, no, 35, 23 to 35 is open division. 35 to 40 is sub-masters. 40 and up is masters, and then it gets divided by 10s. 40, 50, 60, etc. I'm 50. So I'd be considered like Masters 2. Masters 2.0, yeah. And but I do what's called a cross entry. I compete in the open division and masters in case I do well enough. That way I can get best lifter if I win it. And last year I lost it to some kid who weighed 143 pounds and still had a 600-pound deadlift, even though I had a 670. His dot score was like 10 points higher than mine, motherfucker. So I didn't get best lifter, even though I had the highest total of the competition. I was the strongest total of all the lifters. It didn't matter age or weight. I had the highest total. I still didn't get best lifter. Son of a bitch. That's my bucket list. I want to get one best lifter award at any meet. I don't give a shit if it's local or whatever. I want one best lifter. And then, of course, I want the national records. And if I get those are my 2 bucket list items. And then I'll probably retire after that. So we'll see. Because it's getting harder as I get older. All right, guys. I got to go get my kids from school. I love y'all. I'll see you on the battlefield.